Last time, we defeated Pokemon Black using only status moves, but today, we're going to up the ante a little bit. We are going to complete any main series Pokemon game using a single letter of the alphabet. Now you're probably thinking, what? How does that make any sense? So I'm going to explain it to you. Whatever letter we decide to use, we must only use the Pokemon and moves that start with the same letter. So if I get a H, a Pokemon I would be able to use, for example, would be Houndoom, and I'd be able to use Hyper Beam as well. But I can't use Hyper Beam on a Typhlosion, because Typhlosion starts with T, and I can't use Flamethrower with Houndoom, because Flamethrower starts with F, obviously. With that out of the way, we're going to decide which letter to use with the help of our trusty random number generator. I just put in 26 as the maximum, as there are 26 letters in the alphabet, and boom, we get 3, which equates to C, as C is the third letter of the alphabet. Now it's time to decide which main series Pokemon game I'm going to attempt this challenge on. Obviously, due to more Pokemon and more moves being added into the game as the generations progress, the challenge is more difficult on the earlier Pokemon games. So with that in mind, I have decided to use Pokemon Emerald in order to undertake this challenge on. Why Pokemon Emerald, you may ask? Well, in the third generation games, you obtain the HM for Cut before even attempting to challenge the first gym. By comparison, here's where you get the HM for Cut in other generations. Cut's a fairly well-known move. Majority of starters in Pokemon games can learn it, which makes it a priority to gain early, seeing as we can only use moves that start with the letter C. It's funny that I mentioned the starter Pokemon though. As you're aware, the Generation 3's Pokemon games don't contain a starter that begins its name with the letter C. Gen 1 has Charmander, Gen 2 has Cyndaquil, Gen 4 has Chimchar, and Gen 6 has Chespin. Even if I were to use a starter from those games, I wouldn't get access to a move that starts with C until after the first gym, which I'd need to defeat. And if I replace these starters with the original starters in Pokemon Emerald, I would still need to defeat the Team Aqua guy, the first youngster, and the rival before I could get cut. So what I decided to do was change the starters, but I gave myself the option between Pokemon that can only be found in the Hoenn region. The options I gave myself, as you can see, are Cacnea, Chimecho, and Clamperl. As Clamperl is the only Pokemon that also knows a move that begins with C at level 5, I decided to use Clamperl. Now that we're off on our Pokemon adventure, we defeat the rival and the Team Aqua member in the Petalburg Forest with Clamp. The first gym leader, Roxanne, was quite a breeze due to Clamperl being a water type and Clamp being a water type move. As you can imagine, rock type Pokemon don't really stand much of a chance, despite Clamp's horrible 30 base damage and 75% accuracy. Now what I did notice in our battle with Roxanne was that Clamp only had 10 power points, and obviously due to its questionable accuracy, this could potentially be a problem in future battles as it doesn't have the luxury of moves like Tackle where we can sit there and spam them all day. Anyways, Roxanne gives us the Stone Badge, and then we're off on our way to get Cut from the man in Rustboro City. With Cut, we hit the high seas with an old man on the way to Dooford Town. So we're going to have to solo with Clamperl for a while now. In fact, the next Pokemon we can obtain in the game actually doesn't become available until after we defeat the 4th gym leader. So we grind out and overlevel our poor little Clamperl in order to defeat Brawly, who gives us the Knuckle Badge. Not too difficult considering his Pokemon were fighting type, however the next few key battles get a little interesting. As you can see, we encounter Team Aqua at the museum at Slateport, which is an absolute cakewalk. However, the next battle is a famous one. You guessed it, the battle with our rival under Cycling Road. If you remember, our rival picked Trico, which is obviously not ideal for the trainer that only has Clamperl, that knows Clamp. We have to grind Clamperl a lot in order to win this battle, as you can see from its level. It took a very long time, but it was all worth it in the end, as our next gym challenge would happen to be against Watson, who you know is an electric type trainer. But not before we took the bike for a little spin.
Let's ride. Let's ride.
Watson, as you can imagine, was a very difficult battle. We were hoping the entire time that his Magneton would use Sonic Boom instead of Shockwave or Thunderwave. We do eventually defeat him after a lot of grinding and many attempts, and he awards us with our badge. The plot sends us all the way through the mountains and all the way to Meteor Falls, where I attempt to encounter another shiny, just like I did in my random number generator challenge. It doesn't work. I'm not sure why. I think the whole 1 in 8,192 thing had something to do with it. Anyways, we chase Team Magma up Mount Chimney, defeat Maxie with ease, and end up at the Laveridge Town Gym, looking for our 4th badge. As Flannery is a Fire-type user, this is a very easy battle, and we get the badge in about 5 clamps. Our rival gives us the Go Goggles, which allows us to capture the second member of our team. If you guessed it, it's Cacnea. In terms of moves, Cacnea can use Cut, and it learns Cotton Spore at level 41, which is kind of helpful, I guess. we evolve Cacnea in preparation for our next battle with Norman. Equipped with an overleveled Clamperl and a newly acquired Cacturn, we do pretty well. Norman hands us the balance badge for our troubles, and that allows us to use the HM for Surf outside of battle. We take a very short detour to get a future member of our party by grabbing the root fossil, and we give it to the guy in Rustboro City who revives fossils. After that, we make our first voyage with Surf, and Surf enables us to have access to 2 more Pokemon, as Surf allows us to get the Good Rod from the fisherman across the river from Moorville City. As you can see, we use the Good Rod to catch Corphish, however, after becoming increasingly frustrated with only finding Magikarp, I postpone the acquisition of Kavana to our team. Not like it's any good or anything. Also, our Corphish evolves into a Crawdont. Move-wise, Crawdont will have Cut, it learns Crabhammer at level 38, and I thought it would have Crunch at level 51, but it turns out it only learns Crunch in Fire Red and Leaf Green. You would think that a Dark type would have access to one of, if not the most powerful attacking Dark move in the game, but I guess not. Crabhammer is more than enough anyway with its 90 base power. We head to the Weather Institute and clear out Team Aqua. As thanks, the scientists, or I guess meteorologists in this case, inside give us a free cast form, which begins with C. How exciting. Cast form, however, can't learn any move that begins with C, so it's banished to the box forever. Not the first time we've done that, and it certainly won't be the last. We meet and beat the rival again and prepare ourselves for our battle with Winona. Getting Crawdont to at least level 38 was essential for this battle, as Altari and Skarmory were a lot easier to take down with Crabhammer as opposed to Cut and Clamp. We get our badge and we make our way to Mount Pyre to not only satisfy the plot, but to also obtain a new friend. After dispatching Team Aqua with ease, we hunt around the bushes at the summit of the mountain for quite a while until we find a cute, useless little battle Pokemon we call Chimecho. Chimecho's base stats aren't anything to write home about, although its 95 special attack is low-key quite impressive. It does know Confusion and can learn a very important move that we'll obtain later in the game. But until then, we have to defeat Maxie again. He does bad things with the wrong orb, we defeat the rival out front of the Lily Cove shops, we find a way to Slateport, meet Team Aqua at their base back at Lily Cove, and then see them run away to the depths of the sea. Imagine how annoying this sequence would be without having a Pokemon that knows Fly. I know, I never learned from my mistakes. With all that unnecessary plot out of the way, we go back and catch our Kavana and head to the Mozdeep City Gym. Kavana's stats suck, but it knows Crunch, so at least it'll help us if it can outspeed Xatu. If you remember from the random number generator challenge, this gym was the absolute death of me. But today we can actually handle it fairly easy due to Crabhammer wiping about 3/4 of Tantaliza's Pokemon. We get the badge and the TM for Calm Mind, which we teach to Chimecho obviously, and continue our pursuit of Team Aqua. Archie follows suit with Maxie and does equally bad things with the opposite orb and starts the whole catastrophic weather effects sequence that a 10-year-old child ends by climbing a ridiculously high pillar in the middle of the sea to awaken a giant green dragon that restores balance to the universe and the ecosystem, I guess. All we're in Sootopolis City for is our badge, so we pay a visit to Juan and fight our Pokemon against his Pokemon. It's a fairly straightforward battle with Chimecho's Confusion being really helpful. Juan gives us our badge, which grants us access to the Pokemon League. Before visiting the league, however, we go back to Rustboro City, get our Lileep, evolve it into Cradily. Cradily knows Confuse Ray and is pretty bulky type-wise, so it's pretty handy to have around in the team. We strut into Victory Road and are interrupted by Barry, who we put to the sword with our slightly overleveled Pokemon and their extremely weird move restrictions. We arrive at the pearly gates of Evergrande City's Pokemon League and get our badges checked by the officials. It is here where we will attempt to complete another ridiculously unique and utterly pointless challenge. Sydney is our first battle, and to be completely honest, Sydney was fairly difficult. He's a Dark-type trainer, obviously we have nothing that was super effective against him, and Chimecho would prove to have next to no value in this battle. That changes in the future, but we obtained a hard-earned first victory against the Elite Four. Phoebe's next, and her Dusclopses come armed with the ability Pressure, which doubles the move usage of our Pokemon. As Clamp and Crabhammer already have limited power points as it is, 10 each, I burned through a couple PP-ups, a couple Ethers, and a couple Elixirs after the battles were completed. But her encounter was pretty straightforward, although Chimecho had a super effective move in Confusion, it wasn't able to set up Calm Mind without being barraged by Shadow Ball, so I stuck with Crabhammer and Clamp again. We get the dub. Glacier was also a very difficult battle, mainly due to her Glalie knowing Crunch, which would make it difficult for Chimecho to sweep her team. Cacturn would also be fairly useless in this battle as you can imagine, however with enough persistence and over-leveling of course, we were able to pull out a victory. Kavana was actually helpful in this. Its ability to hit hard with Crunch opened the battle up against Glalie and allowed me to save some more of my Pokemon to throw at her Walrein. Drake and his Dragon-type Pokemon lay ahead, but I had the upper hand here for once. I'm not talking about the fact that my Pokemon are over 10 levels higher than his. With the knowledge of his Shelgon coming out first, I was successfully able to set up Calm Mind on Chimecho, and you can witness the results. It absolutely breezes through most of his team and sets up my other Pokemon for an easy victory. Only the champion Wallace remained, and to be completely honest, we adopt the exact same strategy we used on Drake. I used some of the rare candies I found along my adventure to make sure Chimecho would be able to survive against Wailord while setting up Calm Mind. Then from there, we used Calm Mind again on Ludicolo with the assumption that it's going to use Double Team, and thankfully it does, and the end result is very impressive. Chimecho ends up sweeping Wallace's entire team, which is an absolute relief because Wallace's Gyarados could have caused me some serious problems in this battle. We become champion, we get our Pokemon inducted into the Hall of Fame, but that wraps up this video today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you all have a great day. There are some videos on the screen if you want to keep watching my content. If you're new here, you can subscribe if you want. I mean, like, it's your choice. I'd be happy if you did though. Anyways, see you next time.